This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for April 10th, 2025. This is season 14, episode number 57, and episode number 496 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the show. I am your host, Bob Howard. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'm very excited to get to talk to you guys today. I spent a good 6 hours at the arena, about 5.5 hours at the arena. Maybe it was closer to 6 because I was there after 3 o'clock, and I got to witness a couple of the sessions that Gavin Yates and Chris Mott were doing on the ice with some young hockey players. I absolutely love this, and it's something that I really do want to bring attention to. I think it's great. I know Eggy does it. I know that there was, a post put out like 4 or 5 months ago with Tyson Kirkby saying, hey, listen, there are guys on this team that would be willing to help and to educate and teach young players how to play hockey. And so I got to witness a couple of those sessions. I haven't been there yet when Eggy's been on the ice with Kelly Howe's son, who is looking to become a goalie, loves everything goalie. But I got to meet one of the fathers, Tom, who was there with his wife and even their younger son, who had a hockey stick in his hand. And even though he's not on the ice yet, he's going to be on the ice very soon. And it was just a great experience. I was there for practice. I talked to Blake Tosto, which you'll hear that on the Sunday podcast. And I talked to Brant Sherwood and just had a great time. Tommy Turgan from Fox 40 was there. Got to, meet a couple of the dogs that are, around the team. Dakota, which is Dylan Konecki's pup. And, of course, I got to meet Minnie, who is Dakota Bonds and Courtney's pup as well. And so great day at the arena. But, man, it really got topped off when I got to see Chris Mott, go out onto the ice with, the young kid who was with him. And then, of course, Gavin went out. And it's like, listen, let's be honest. Gavin's such a great skater. Of course you want to get lessons from Gavin Yates, which was pretty cool. But watching and listening to Chris Mott and some of the small details that he was doing with the player on the ice, really the skating is so important. And, I hear people talk about it all the time, and it's so true. It's like how you skate will determine a lot of things in the way you play the game, how you cut angles, how you are able to when the puck goes out of the zone and you're coming into the zone and you got to turn, there are certain ways you can do it which really will give you a second head start, or you'll pick up a second and a half that other people won't because you're skating the right way. I am not a master at it. I've watched definitely people online talk about it and, all the techniques that people try to teach everyone. But I'm not a master at it. I will never proclaim to be a master at it, but it's amazing because skating is so important. It's so key. And as you go up in the levels of hockey, you'll see that the skating gets better and better and better and better. Gavin Yates is just one of those guys. He's got that skating down. He's fast. He's very concise in the way he skates, and his strides are not huge and long. And he's able to still do things that other people can't do. So, which is pretty impressive. So it was really cool to get to see these guys teaching and getting to talk to one of the parents, Tom, who listens to the Power Play Post Show. He recognized me. He said hello, and it was very cool. But the whole day at the arena, it was just a lot of fun. Talked to Brant Sherwood for close to an hour. You guys are going to hear about 40 minutes of that conversation, which I think is pretty cool. And then probably hung out with Toast for about an hour as well. Brought them both up to the press box. I had all my gear set up. If you're out there on the socials, you saw some of the pictures of what I had set up. It doesn't take a lot to do one of these shows in the sense of the amount of gear that you need. You're just looking for the right sound to get it into the computer and record it. So, but I'm very happy and very pleased with the day. It was a day that I definitely needed. There's a lot of stuff going on in the real world and my real life, and hockey is my escape. It's, people thank me all the time for doing this and everything that I do, and I appreciate that. Trust me, I appreciate the appreciation that you guys give me. But it's a two-way street. I enjoy to do this. This is my escape. This is the way that I get away from reality for a little bit. And so to take the day off, because I needed to take some days off before my days have to roll over or whatever it is at my work. So I decided, well, let me take the day off before the end of the season and just kind of talk to everybody. I did get to say hello to a few of the players, Dan Weber, just hellos, right? And same thing with Eggie, obviously Gavin and Chris Mott both said hello, and it's just kind of good to kind of, for them to see my face a little bit, right? And just go, hey, okay, Bob's still here. He still looks, relatively normal. But it was just a great day. Being at the rink for 6 hours is not a chore for me. It's not work for me. It's what I thoroughly enjoy. It's the reason why I show up to the arena now at 5:00, and sometimes I don't leave until 10:30. That 5.5 hours at the rink is just, it feels good to me. It feels good to be there, be around fans, be around media people, be around the Black Bears. It is as much enjoyable to me to talk to these guys and get to know them as it is for you guys to do that. And they very much enjoy it. One of the things that I've taken from talking to some of the players is I think without them saying it this way, I think they feel really blessed to be playing in Binghamton because of you, the fans, which I think is pretty cool. They just thoroughly know that they could go to almost any other team. And you know what? Maybe a third-line guy like Chris Mott could go play and be a first-line center somewhere else, right? But is he going to play in front of the same community of people? Probably not. And I think these guys really do appreciate that. Like, they really do. And I don't know what the ticket sales are going to be like this weekend. I hope with it being the last two regular season games. I know it's getting warmer out there. I know the Rumble Ponies are playing tonight, their first game. I realize there are other things to do when it starts to warm up. But hockey is such a strong part of our community. So I hope we have some strong attendance numbers this weekend as well. We're already over 115,000 fans for the season, which is pretty awesome. We got one extra home game because of all the stuff with the Venom that came up. But you guys have turned out so well. And it's also the other reason why I wanted to make sure that I came to the practice today, and I was able to I wanted to get one of the college rookies, Nick Swain. He wasn't there once again. And this is the other beautiful story about, Brant Sherwood and the Black Bears, right? Same thing happened with Cam Clark. He was going back and forth to Morrisville, back and trying to do all that stuff. And, eventually was just like, listen, he's got to do school during the week and play hockey on the weekends. And did he come back this year and, reciprocate? I mean, he's a third-line guy at the moment, right? I think he could play on any one of the lines. But he's playing on the third line. He's got you 20 goals, right? And he has played on different lines. But he took care of school last year, and that's important to Brant. Brant truly believes that these guys need to make sure that they complete and take care of schoolwork because that's the rest of your life after hockey. Unless you're someone like Brant Sherwood who went into coaching, right? And so, Nick Swain wasn't there, and I wanted to have Nick Swain on the show, and I'm hoping that we can still get that in the future because I really want to talk to him. First of all, he's a Jackson, New Jersey guy, and I vacation about 30 minutes east from Jackson, New Jersey, and have been there many times. It's the home of the theme park there. I can't even think of the name at the moment, and I do know the theme park that's there. And it's I just know the area really well, and of course I can't come up with the name of it. And I wanted to talk to him about Jackson and about the Jersey Shore because I'm sure that's something that he is very familiar with. So in the future, we'll get him. But again, Blake Tosto this upcoming Sunday, I think you guys are going to really enjoy that. We talk about him going to Pensacola, which is south, obviously, in Florida, but at the SPHL level. And we talk about a lot of things about him coming back and playing in front of you, the fans, which is pretty cool. But let's get into this because I want to keep as much of my segment as short as possible today, just because we have two great interviews, and I'll tell you who those two interviews are in just a few seconds. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, search Power Play Post Show, and please join. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, didn't realize I was doing this when I did this, but from the number one team in the league, the Binghamton Black Bears, head coach Brant Sherwood, and unfortunately, the last team in the league, realistically, from the Dashers Hockey Club, we have their broadcaster, Devin Dobek. So I'm very excited for you guys to hear from Devin. First of all, we do talk about a little bit about the drive that the Black Bears fans did for the team and how it impacted them and kind of really lifted their spirits. It really was more about lifting their spirits, and it makes me happy to be a part of the Binghamton hockey world because in the community, because you guys did such a phenomenal job for them. You know, and just recently, let's talk about this real quick, right? Just recently, the Booster Club came out and said, hey, listen, we have a list of items that the Black Bears guys need over at Whitney Point. And the Black Bears fans, boom, stepped up and took care of it. That's the beautiful thing. It wasn't just, it's the Dashers, they're down on their luck, the hockey community is a hockey community. There could be a guy or two from that team that in maybe a couple years plays here. Oh, no, wait. Andrew Utero, a guy that we all know and love here in Binghamton, he eventually went there. He's doing great and, 5 assists. And obviously the drive happened well before that. But still, the point is that you never know when one of your guys is going to be there. And maybe it's a less fortunate team. Obviously, that's an ownership issue. That's whatever, right? They only have 25 members in their booster club. Binghamton has 100 or 79 or whatever the number is. It's a high number versus that. There is more work being done with a bigger crew here in Binghamton on the Booster Club than there. Now, tonight, the Booster Club is having its end-of-the-year meeting with the players. So I know a lot of the players, most of the players, I think, are there, which is pretty cool. I also want to mention, I said hello to Cam Cervoni. He said the surgery went well, which is great. He's hoping to be on the ice in about 30 days to start skating again. I think he said it maybe by the end of May, because that's when he gets out of the sling. But he's in good spirits. And listen, he's a cheerleader right now for the Binghamton Black Bears players. He's there to make sure that they have whatever they need mentally and just encouragement. Which is pretty cool. Cam Cervoni is pretty awesome. I did see in practice Josh Fletcher on the ice, so hopefully that's a good sign that we'll see him, Fletch, on the ice. There's a roster move that's coming up that I'm not going to talk about until it's released. And even then, it's going to be just, listen, this person has left the building, so to speak. So there's that coming up. But let's talk about this upcoming weekend. Because I don't know about you guys, It's a little depressing. I mean, sometimes I complain that I'm a little tired, and I do a lot during the hockey season, just with regular life and, of course, the hockey season. But I'm still sad that this is the end of the regular season this weekend. Friday night on Hall of Fame night, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame will induct former players from the Binghamton Senators, Jason Spezza, and from the BC Icemen, Dieter Kocken, as well as the creator of the Dusters and Icemen logo, cartoonist, the late Johnny Hart. The Black Bears will be wearing Iceman-themed throwback jerseys, which I have to say they look outstanding. When I was in the locker room, I saw a couple that had some signatures on them, and I kind of flipped it over, and I was able to look at it. Pretty cool jersey. I mean, without a doubt, outstanding job for the second year in a row, realistically. Those Whaler jerseys were really nice, and Brant Sherwood really likes these Iceman jerseys a little bit more than last year. He says that it's an unpopular opinion in the locker room. Some of those guys are really partial to the Whalers jerseys, but Sherwood really, really likes the black and the blue of the Iceman jerseys, and he says the logo just looks so mean on there. Which I think is pretty cool. Spezza and Kocken will be signing autographs on the concourse from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. before their inductions, which will be at 7 o'clock. The induction ceremony will start at 7, probably, as you all know, go about 15, 20 minutes because it almost always does. Connor Gates from the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame will be hosting the ceremony, which is pretty cool. I do want to say that there will be a little bit of media availability after the induction ceremony during the first part of the period. So I won't be up there taking any pictures, at least at that point. I will be getting some words from Jason Spezza and, of course, Dieter Kocken as well. Okay. The Black Bears' opponents this weekend will be the Danbury Hat on Friday night. And the final home game on Saturday will be against the HC Venom. On Friday night, the Black Bears play against the Danbury Hat in their 11th and final game of the regular season. Neither team is playing for anything other than pride, as the Black Bears have secured first place in the Empire Division, and the Hat are the second-place team. Now, I personally think that we're going to see sprinkled in this weekend the college kids. With Tyson Kirkby at 91 points, we may not see him on Saturday night unless there's a reason to have him in there. But, it's likely that Tyson and maybe a couple other players are going to sit out on Saturday night. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. The Black Bears have a record of 47-6-1 with 137 points, 273 goals for, and 138 goals against. The Hat-Tricks stand at 32-14-8 with 99 points, 238 goals for, and this is the second place team. So, and 183 goals against. The differentials are just so different between the two teams. It's amazing. The Black Bears are 8-1-1 against the Hat-Tricks this season and have shut them out twice. 4-0 on November 16th in Danbury, and also in Danbury, a 5-0 shutout on December 28th. In the 10 games prior to this one, Binghamton has scored 43 goals, and Danbury has scored just 24 goals. That's almost a 20-goal differential between what Danbury has scored and what Binghamton has scored. The Hat-Tricks are led by Gleb Ben Durkin, 32 goals, 31 assists, 63 points in 47 games played. He's got 2 power play goals, 2 shorthanded goals, and 4 game-winning goals. Johnny Ruiz, of course, he's going to be there, 27 goals, 32 assists, 59 points in 45 games played. He has 11 power play goals. He's dangerous also on the penalty kill. He's got 5 shorthanded goals and 1 game-winning goal. Chase Harwell has 27 goals, 32 assists for 53 points in 40 games played, and 7 power play goals, 4 shorthand goals, and 3 game-winning goals. Those are the 3 guys. If you want to be successful against Danbury, you got to shut down at least 2 of the 3. Just got to shut them down. And that's not easy to do. Connor McCollum, 21, 13-6 with a 3.18 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. The Black Bears, of course, are led by Tyson Kirkby, 35 goals, 56 assists for 91 points in 44 games played. He's got 12 power play goals, 4 shorthanded goals, 4 game-winning goals. Just an outstanding season by Kirks. And he's really he's going to play he's probably going to play on Friday, right? That'll be his 45th game. If there's 56 games, that's 11 games he might miss out on if he doesn't play on Saturday as well. But not for any reason more so than 3 were suspensions, and the other 4 or 5, maybe 6 games, or 4 or 5 of those games, he was called up to the ECHL. Austin Thompson has 36 goals, 34 assists, and 70 points in 53 games played. 5 power play goals, 4 shorthanded goals, and 9 game-winning goals. CJ Stubbs, 22 goals, 42 assists, and 64 points. He did that in 42 games played. 7 power play goals, 2 shorthanded goals, and 4 game-winning goals for Mr. Stubbs. Connor McAnanama, 29, 3-1. I expect to see him probably in one of the games. He's got a 2.08 goals against average and a 922 save percentage. I really want him to get the 30th win. I really do. I don't like the fact that this team could end with 49 wins, right? It's just not an even number. For some reason, it's just something about even numbers or odd numbers. Even Coach Sherwood just doesn't like them. So I hope he gets a win this weekend and gets up to 30 on the season. I think that would be great. Special teams, Binghamton is power play is ranked second right now. Technically, it's only by like 0.2 percentage points, right? But they're ranked second behind the Watertown Wolves. But they're number 1 in power play goals scored with 67 power play goals. Their PK is ranked third. It's been outstanding the last 4 or 5 games, right? 34 power play goals against with an 86% kill rate. Danbury, their power play is third in the league with 52 power play goals. They're scoring 25% of the time on the power play or the man advantage. On their PK, they are ranked 11th with 47 power play goals against and a 79% kill rate. Binghamton, I think the number 1 realistically, just the ranking is off because of the percentage. They're the number 1 team on the power play. I think, Danbury, but they're dangerous also on the penalty kill, right? You get them on the penalty kill, they have scored 12 shorthanded goals. And that was my next topic here. Black Bears have 16 shorthanded goals. They're number 1 in the league, and the Hat Tricks are second in the league with 12 shorthanded goals. On Saturday night, the Black Bears end the regular season with the HC Venom coming into town with the team poster giveaway to the first 1,000 fans and a post-game skate after the game, which is pretty cool. The last one, it just seemed really, really busy. There were a lot of fans out there, and it's just such a good thing to see. The Venom are officially out of the playoffs and have a record of 13, 35, and 3 with 39 points, 148 goals scored, and 245 goals allowed. And if you think about it, I mean, that's well over 100 goal difference between what they've scored versus what the Black Bears have scored. This will be the 10th meeting between the two teams, and the Black Bears are 9-0-0 against the Venom this year. The Black Bears have outscored the Venom in their first 9 games 51-22. The Venom are led by Declan Conway, 18 goals, 21 assists for 39 points in 45 games played, 5 power play goals, and 3 game-winning goals. And then hoping we get to see him. I really do like watching him on the ice. I'd like to see how he's doing. Imantas Norica, 20 goals, 14 assists for 34 points in only 15 games played. He's the one guy that's kind of rivaling, Garrett Milan and Tyson Kirkby for that 2.0 and higher, so 2 points per game average or higher. He's got 9 power play goals in that 15 games and 3 game-winning goals. Now, I would have loved to have seen him play the whole season in the Fed with HC Venom to see how they would have been different, right? But that wasn't the case. He went up. Just like Blake Tosta went up, he went up. He's not going to say no to going to the ESP And obviously, getting that chance up there to play. John Moriarty, 6-21-1 with a 4.51 goals against average and an .892 save percentage. So, obviously, these two games, do they really matter to the Black Bears? No. Do you want to win on pride? Absolutely. So, obviously, that is going to definitely be something that they don't want to go into the playoffs losing games. And here's the thing. If they don't play Tyson on Saturday, I don't think it matters, because when Tyson wasn't here, they still won games. When you had 3 or 4 guys out all at the same time, they still won games. It's one of those things where the Black Bears just plug in players, boom, 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 boom. They're like cogs in a wheel, and it just keeps going, right? One cog breaks, you plug in a different cog, and it just works. So I don't think there's going to be any real problems with the Black Bears getting their wins and doing what they need to do to obviously end the season on a high note. Obviously, they didn't start the season the right way with that loss at home, the second loss of the game, or the second game of the season. They get that one loss. Brant and I actually talk about this, and I think Brant, when he listens to the show and he hears me say, well, it's not like I want them to lose, but if they're going to lose here, this is why it's a good thing. Brant brings up, he goes, listen, yeah, we lost that first home game. Yeah, it was the banner raising. He goes, but that was such a perfect game to lose, because he was able to take that video, take that information, take the mistakes that they made in that game and work with it, right? And, and then that next week, Austin Thompson is the 10 forward, gets 5 points in the game down in Poughkeepsie, or down in wherever the Venom were playing at the time, right? And was able to then go, okay, after 2 shifts, all right, you're back up on the top line again. So you can learn from those type of things and continue to get better. And that's all the Black Bears have done this season. They've had a really great season. Next week on the Power Play Post Show, maybe even Sunday, if I can get some of the work in to get some of that, we'll talk about what they've done and how they've improved from last year to this year. And it's crazy because it just doesn't happen. But maybe, just maybe, the Black Bears have kind of caught that same success ability that the Hershey Bears have right now, that the Florida Everblades have right now. And I think that would be kind of fun to see. All right, what do they do the third year after a very successful second season as well here in the Brant Sherwood regime, so to speak. So, all right, coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show, we are going to go right to Brant Sherwood. This was an interview I did with him earlier today on Wednesday at the arena after practice. So I hope you guys enjoy this. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buchinski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Very excited. We're here in the press box at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena, and I've got Coach Sherwood here. Now, Coach, you've had this vantage point before, but just you've never sat in the press box before. You joked about not coming up here before, but you've sat across. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But thank you very much for joining me.
No, appreciate it. I'm happy to see the view on the other side. Usually I'm in Suite 4 when I'm, in coach's jail.
Coach's jail. I like that. There's only 2 games left in the regular season. The team's got 47 wins. I told people to stop talking about 50. I was trying to tell people to stop talking about 50 for a few weeks now, because to me, it's not important. However, if you guys do win the last 2, and I think you probably saw me read this, it's like, all right, it's 49. Now, all of a sudden, you have to come back next year to try to get 50 because you said last year when you had 39, well, 40 is a much nicer number.
I don't like those odd numbers, so yeah, I guess probably have to come back and get 50. But
so
50 is wild. It's usually teams are celebrating 30 because you get in the playoffs with usually 30 wins. Yeah. But the fact that we're at this number is pretty amazing of the accomplishments the boys have done this year.
So 47 wins this season, only 6 regulation losses. That's just nuts. I'm sure you read where I talked about talking to Kyle Steffen probably almost 2 months ago, and I said, hey, Kyle, can you guys really finish this season with less than 10 regulation wins? All he said was yes. And then when I brought it up to him, he said, the belief in this room is unmatched. Talk about that for a second.
They're just a confident bunch. They know that, if their name's called, they're going to step up and be ready to play, and it doesn't matter what our lineup is, what the D pairs are, what the lines are. Everyone's going to be ready to play, and everyone's kind of pulling on the same rope, as Steph would say. So it's been such a fun year in that aspect. I do have a lot more trust in this group compared to last year. They've gained that with their hard work and resiliency. So yeah, I'm right there with Steph as far as like the belief in the room is unmatched, and you could even see it in 2 games ago against Athens, being able to come back 2 minutes left and make something out of nothing. Yeah, it might have been too little too late, but at the same time, like, the boys know that they still could have tied up that game and sent it into overtime. So it's good to rely on those experience and then use them for the playoffs, because we're going to run into some adversities in playoffs that we're going to have to face head on.
Why do you think Athens didn't have a response to you guys in the second game? Because I said you guys won 4 periods on Wednesday and Thursday night. You won the third period, and then you won the next 3 periods, without a doubt. Yeah, maybe they scored the 1 goal on Thursday night in the second period, but for the most part, I thought you guys won. Why do you think they didn't have a response? Because they still try to play physical. They have skilled guys. Yeah. But they couldn't respond to you guys.
I think they thought that we were something we weren't the night before. Like, I truly think that they thought they're like, oh, we got this team. Like, what's all this talk about Binghamton? And I look at that first game, and the boys could tell you I did not like that game. And being able to watch it from the stands, you get to see everything develop, and you don't even necessarily need to watch video after that. Like, yeah, I saw it firsthand, and our physicality, our puck retrievals from our D, our reads at the offensive blue line, just overall a timid but offensive mindset that you just don't need this time of year. So we made the adjustments going into the next game, and the message was pretty clear that we need to play physical and we need to limit the odd man rushes and let our offense take over naturally, and that's kind of exactly what happened. It was a tight game, but I felt like we controlled the entire game from start to finish.
They tried to bring it to you physically, like Port Huron has, like even Danbury at times has, maybe more so last year and the year before that, like Blue Ridge tried to do, right? Why is it when a team brings physicality to you guys, certain teams kind of get a response that maybe looks like a Blue Ridge response, right? Versus when you guys played Athens and it seemed pretty respectful right across the board.
Honestly, if I was coaching against our team, I would probably have the same mindset of like, hey, let's get on these guys, let's attack them, let's make their lives very difficult, whether it's in the trenches, in the corners, net front, frozen pucks after scrums. I see where they're coming from. It's just we love that game. I think when everyone gets physically engaged, it brings out the best in everyone, and it creates just a little bit more of a brotherhood that we're a bunch of dogs and we're all in the fight together. And if they want to fight, we're willing to fight. But also we're going to score goals on top of that. And I think that's what drives this group is like, hey, we'll win the physical battle, but then we're going to outskill you after that. And that kind of wins both sides of the games when teams want to play that way. We'll expect that from Port Huron, Danbury, Athens. But when teams don't play physical against us, that's when it gets dangerous for the opponent. Like, I do think teams need to play physical against us.
Yeah, well, you guys have scored 11 goals twice this year. You've also shut out teams 4 times this year, right? And I think there's growth both offensively and defensively this year. Can you talk about that? Because you do have 12, 13 guys that have returned from last year.
So right there, I just think it's our chemistry is built to a certain point where we still have the verbal communication going on the ice, but it's more so just being able to read each other's tendencies a little bit better. That visual kind of communication of making that eye contact for a forward rolling up in the O zone and then a D going down and kind of replacing each other's positions where it becomes positionless. And I know you're at practice here today.
Yeah.
We did a D zone drill where all the forwards exit the zone and it's whoever's first man back, that's center, and you got to call a switch for whoever that first forward's back if the center wants to get back in the position. But everyone kind of knows each other's job at this point. Mm-hmm. It explains why we can move forwards to D to forward, all that stuff. I want guys to be able to play every position besides goaltender.
We've talked about this multiple times. If people have listened to our conversations on the Power Play Post Show, I've talked about how it seems like you can take a Scott Romekers, a Cam Clark, even a Zach Sirota, and plug them into the first line, into the second line, be on the 10th, be the 10th forward, and they know the role. They know what they're supposed to do.
It's just team first mentality. Everyone kind of accepts it, and they know when they sign up to play in Binghamton, they're here to win a championship. They're not here for individual accolades or I need to be on the first line or I need to be on the first power play. They know that everything needs to be earned. And
can we get Tyson to 100 points, though? We're so close.
I know. He's going to have a big week, and we'll see if he plays on Saturday. I want him to play on Saturday, but I might try to convince him otherwise.
So let me ask you about the mentality, right? Because there's nothing to play for, right? The last two games, pride, of course, right? Everybody plays for pride. At least I would hope so, right? So do you sit out a couple guys and rest them and get them ready? Give them the extra day to, be more ready for the playoffs, whoever it is going to be next weekend?
It's just it's going to be a discussion after Friday's game. See, a couple guys might be banged up after that game. It's going to be a hard-fought battle, and I think we're going to put our best foot forward. We want to finish the season strong with all the right habits, playing the right way, and gearing up for playoffs. But there'll be some talks with individuals after the game, see if hey, you want this game tomorrow? I can put a college kid in. I can put one of the guys that's been maybe in and out of the lineup, and kind of give them one last hoorah if they might not be in that starting lineup on that for the first round. So. It is. It's a playful situation.
Right.
We'll cross that bridge Friday night when we get there.
I talk about it all the time. You guys are fine tuning, right? You're getting ready for the playoffs. You're not playing for any particular accolade at this point. You've already won everything that you're going to win in the regular season. Yet. You guys lost the opening night when they raised that damn banner over there, right? And it's now you have Hall of Fame night on Friday, and then you have the final regular season game. It's still inside of you. I can tell it's in your gut. You still want to win both of those games.
Oh, we want to win.
No matter what.
Yeah, we want to win both those games. And, the losses this year, we've learned so much from. Yeah. And, I don't want to say I want more losses, but, it's difficult to teach a group when they win so much to be
you can learn from winning.
You can learn from winning, but it's kind of sometimes I'll get a look come on, coach, we just blasted that team. Why are you critiquing our game right now, or why you make me do this? And it is for situations in the playoffs. So you always want to hold these guys accountable, even in some wins. But that first loss of the year. It was perfect. It was a beautiful loss because it shaped our team. I'd like to say the training camp really started after that week, and it was fun to see him respond the next weekend, especially Austin Thompson.
Well, I was just going to bring up Austin because you started him as the 10th forward. I think it was down in whatever city or town or rec rink that Hudson Valley was playing at the time. And he shows up with
5 points.
5 points, 3 goals, and I think 2 assists.
It lasted 2 shifts.
And then you put him back up.
He was running guys. He's exactly what I wanted. And that happened the first year. when I got hired just before Christmas.
Yeah.
Tomer, it sometimes can look like he's not, sweating or making that much of an effort, and other guys can they can sell like they're working so hard, spraying water on their face and stuff. Sometimes Tomer just kind of looks.
He listens to the show. So
yeah,
so
I love it. I love it.
Let's be nice.
I love it. He knows this too, but sometimes it can look like he might not be as engaged, but that's just his natural demeanor. And then every time I put him in the 10th forward position, it literally takes 2 or 3 shifts, and I'm like, all right, go back with Kirks. You're good to go. It's just a little wake up call. But he's been such a pleasure this year. He has improved individually as far as his stats go, but
I was just going to bring those up.
Even just his defensive play, he's a true leader, and we're so lucky to have a guy like Austin Thompson that can do a little bit of everything: PK, power play, solid work on 5-on-5 too. So he's been such a pleasure, and he's earned everything he's got, and then some.
Recently, he had that game-winning goal, the only goal in the Carolina game, and it's just Tyson wins the face-off, brings it up to Tomer, and it was
quick.
More than yes.
It was a little no
hesitation.
It was a very skilled play.
Yeah.
I know some of the guys would be giving me crap for this, but Tomer is super skilled. He did a nice little toe drag and then ripped the puck past Cavallari. It was very crafty and quick, and you don't know when your moment's going to be, and Tomer seems to have a lot of those moments.
Well, we saw him almost all last year in front of the net, and now you brought him out a little bit.
I did, yeah.
And I think it's helped his numbers, number one. He's seeing the puck a little bit differently, I think, and using his skill.
Yeah.
But you've also put Tyson in front of the net a little bit more.
Yeah.
He also gets all the garbage goals. Let's just be honest.
He does.
If there's a scramble in front of the thing and Tyson's there, he's going to get it in.
It's because Tyson has such a heavy stick, and it's also I like to use the term sticky. He never gives up on it. It's one last reach. He'll get a poke on it and then strip it back. He's very hard to win a puck battle against. And Tomer's been, a little bit more spotty and finding those little soft areas to bang home goals. But sometimes it's also just a lot of people don't think about this, the hands on the power play. If you have a lefty down low, you kind of want a righty bumper just so the passes work out a little easier. Because if you have righty on righty, then it's hard to do a one-timer with a righty on righty coming from low to high. So he's crushing in different areas, and it just goes to show you that you can plug a guy in anywhere, and I'm sure they can do a job.
How important was it to bring in CJ Stubbs? You and I had a conversation probably before the season started about 2 guys you wanted to bring in. One didn't come here, but CJ Stubbs did. How important was it to have a player of his skill, his experience, number one? That's probably number one in my opinion, and his just overall, his attitude, his personality just seems to fit perfectly with this team. How important was it to bring in CJ?
Man, we're so lucky to have Stubbsy. He's, we've been close for a while, and it's awesome, being his coach and having that type of relationship.
Yeah.
But, I think Kirks is top player in the league. I think Stubbs is right there. He is an all-around player. He's another guy like Tomer that can play any sort of game, whether it's penalty kill, power play, 5-on-5. Stubbs' details with his stick, his angling, how he breaks up plays. He has an amazing stick, and he can make slip plays at the blue line offensively with our middle lane driving, or he can break up plays with his angle and being a good F1, or even in zone. He blocks shots. He does everything so well. He's just an all-around fantastic player, and we're lucky to have him. But also this league is lucky to have him.
Sure.
To be able to recruit another SPHL guy and convince him to come down and play it's just making our on-ice product that much better. So as far as the Stubbs pickup, that's probably my best pickup, since I've been here, is being able to convince a guy that high caliber who's won championships in the SP in this league, and get the same performance and not have kind of a letdown year, because some guys will.
It was slow starting for him, but then once he started to really get into his game, it's been pretty awesome.
It's been awesome, and that's the thing with Stubbsy is, he worked his tail off up in Roanoke, and you don't get many days off up there. And
he was an assist machine up there.
Yeah, and it's a grind. It is an absolute grind. You don't get Mondays off too often, or even just those rest travel days. Like,
well, you're soft on the guys. They get Mondays off.
They get Mondays off. Yeah, they do. I want them performing at high intensity on the weekend. So I do feel like sometimes you gotta back off a little bit.
Sure.
In practice. Like our Tuesday practices, they're pretty intense, but we kind of wean out through the rest of the week, and we do like 45-hour practices, get on and off, do our work, a little fine tuning. But then, like, I want the guys that have the most energy on the weekends. And he's been battling with his back for years. I was his roommate on the road. He'd be wincing getting out of bed, getting ready to play. So
wait until he turns 52.
Yeah, it's gonna be
downhill.
Tough. Yeah, but he's been such a pleasure to be around. Such a good leader, and he does everything right on and off the ice. We're all so fortunate to see CJ playing in a Black Bears jersey.
Let's talk about a couple things that are maybe hard to talk about. The Danbury game, the water tossing, and Blue Ridge.
Yeah.
You and I have talked. We've never not had conversations about things that maybe even you could do better, right?
Yeah.
In situations. We've always had that open transparency, even on the show here sometimes, right? Thinking back now, I know Blue Ridge was a little bit more recent than obviously Danbury. Danbury was sometime in December. Things you could have done differently, things that you wanted to do differently, because you still have that players being inside of you, and you want to stick up for your players at all times. What have you thought about those two incidents? Because they're the two incidents this year that got you suspended.
Yeah, I mean, I still got that player in me. I'm sometimes stick handling up and down the bench as I'm coaching, but no, honestly,
it's hard. I
think there's certain venues that you get put in a situation that calls for it.
It's unsafe.
It's unsafe. There's no adequate security. You want to invite, 2,000-3,000 people into an arena and not have the proper security and make sure that the away team's safe around their locker room.
By the way, neither team had 2,500 people in the arena at the time.
Yeah, exactly. So, I just look at Athens this past weekend. So Athens, I'm sitting out that game. I'm watching about 5 different security meetings going on with whatever quadrant they're covering.
Okay, cool.
And they're making sure, hey, you got this, make sure nothing happens over here, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, over here in the conversation. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, our whole area was safe. Like, everyone's respectful once, the game ends and stuff. But there's just instances where, I don't think teams have the proper security at games. I was one of the most fiery players when I played. I couldn't even come close to a fan when I played.
Yeah.
There's no opportunity to do so. And in our arena, we got the tunnel.
Yeah.
They have their safe private locker room with 2 cops standing by, making sure that no fans are getting back there.
Yeah.
No, away team personnel unless it's Dylan. But I wish, I could keep my cool a little bit better. I wish I didn't throw that water bottle. But at the same time, like, I'd like to see people...
You guys felt attacked,
I'd like to see people, kind of hold their cool in those situations when you're getting a beer dumped on you. I have a beer flying past my head, and I have a water bottle in my hand. You better believe I'm chucking it back. And it's like, oh, my God, that poor fan.
Yeah.
It's like... Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, you wanna poke the bear, and then the bear answers, and they're like, oh, like we got to hold him accountable. What they did that night, they didn't kick anyone out.
No,
they pushed them back, and
in this arena, you'd get kicked out.
You get kicked out for throwing the middle finger.
Yeah.
I got about freaking 80 middle fingers at me. I got a picture of my wife taped to the glass, and it's like, oh, if you say something back, it's like, oh, this coach is out of control. I look at the Carolina and Port Huron situation this past weekend. Both coaches get a $100 fine. I wonder what Brant Sherwood would have got for that.
Oh, more than that. More than that.
Exactly. So
there's you have to take out a second mortgage just to pay some of the fines.
Exactly. Sorry, Andreas. Thanks for covering my butt. But I think with time, as I get older, I'll be able to ignore those. It's just like when I feel my players are threatened, I just feel like I got to step in there and protect them. But
is that what happened in Blue Ridge? Because on the ice they were definitely attacked, right?
Yeah, they're attacked.
3 seconds into the third period, and they're literally dropping their gloves. And as I say it, and I hate saying it because it sounds like I'm not on Tyson Kirkby's side or the players that were on the ice side, but they were retreating into their own zone. And
they're trying to escape.
And some of them were facing the other way. Cam Clark, I think. I didn't see because the video wasn't correct.
I saw it.
It looked like Cam Clark was facing the other way when the guy went after him.
They were all turned around going the other way. I mean, Stubbs gets jumped right off the bat.
And he turtled, right?
Yeah,
he went
turtled.
down. No, he went. I know. And again, fans, I'm not picking on CJ Stubbs. What I'm saying is you guys did not expect that. And somehow it became, this is Binghamton's fault.
It was, I learned a lot from that situation. So, even like this past week, at the end of the game, I called a timeout, if you noticed it, and I saw all their big boys out on Athens. I go, nope, we're not doing this again. So, got a couple, of our, I guess, top end players off the ice, but I wish I, could have done things a little bit differently. I wish I called a timeout to start that. To kind of avoid those circumstances, but it happened, and it brought our group closer together, and it's one of those stories, that goes along the journey this year. It's difficult, but I just think going forward with this league, like you need to have the proper things in place, and
do you think they're listening?
Yeah, I do think they're
No.
Oh,
again, it sounds like I'm trying to get him to say something bad about the league. I'm not. But there have been things that they've tried to do to make it better. I know the Blue Ridge Arena said that they're going to do certain things.
They put out a whole statement, and that's admitting guilt to the whole situation.
Well, that and Danbury's made a couple changes.
Danbury's, you know what, they did make a lot of good changes. They brought in that tunnel, and I think that just saved a lot of problems. Having that close access to fans and players, something's bound to happen.
In Syracuse, they have the same entrance into the arena, and it's a tunnel there. And matter of fact, it's so annoying because if you buy a ticket down by the ice, because it's near the middle, right?
Yeah.
It's near the blue line. And there's a black tunnel for the away team. So if you buy a ticket from there, they don't move the damn tunnel back.
Yeah,
so you literally have an obstructed view in one spot. And this is an AHL arena, right? Of course, it's one of the oldest in the AHL.
It's just safety precaution, man. It's like that's why I say, like, I had a ton of penalty minutes when I played, and you're coming off the ice, you're pretty fired up. Like, there should be zero encounter of even like touching anyone or like being able to reach with a stick or anything like that. I know something happened with Frank last year. After that, we came back in that Watertown game. Yeah. But that's like one time, and I guess like the 3 years I've been here.
Yeah, Frank's the bad boy of Binghamton hockey fans.
Yeah. But the kid had to stick his stick through like a corner. Like, it was like hard to get to Frank, and it was it happens. It's part of hockey. It's just like I wish things were set up a little bit differently in certain areas, but you're not going to get it unless you go to the game, see it yourself in person, and see what some away teams are dealing with. But it's expected now, so we kind of get used to it. And playoffs are a lot different. I got to think about that crap a little bit more and make sure I'm even keel and the boys are even keel, and we got a job to do and win some games.
This weekend, obviously Hall of Fame night. Jason Spezza is getting inducted, and he played 120 plus games, had a 117-point season here in Binghamton for the 04-05 lockout year. Dieter Kocken played in the UHL, the U-Haul League, right?
Yeah.
And was the first guy to ever be called up directly, went to go play for the Tampa Bay Lightning. How cool is it to be around for kind of those kind of moments here?
I think it's my favorite game of the year.
I said that. You can't say that. I said that a couple weeks ago.
I think a lot of us are all on the same page with that. It was super cool last year when we did the Binghamton Whalers night, and I got to talk to Coach Kirk and pick his brain and get advice from him. It helped us this year. I mean, do you think you'll get a few moments with Spez? I hope so. Even if it's just to shake his hand, he's on a whole nother tier when it comes to the hockey world. But it'd be nice if we can get him in our locker room like we did with Theo Fleury. So that was cool too, right? It was awesome. Like Theo gave an awesome speech before the game. The boys came out flying, and it was like everyone has these kind of like notations about the Federal Hockey League, and Theo was comparing it to Senior A in Canada before the game, and I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like that. I was like, I didn't want to say, oh no, like we're way better than that, or like, you kind of let their opinion develop on their own. And he didn't know if he was going to come down after the game. Yeah. I think he he had a long day, Hockey for Hope, and know you're shaking a lot of hands, talking to a lot of people, and he enjoyed the game so much that he came back down and he talked to, some of our Western Canadians, some of the guys been through struggles in their life, and gave them his advice and how to deal with hardships and stuff like that. That's awesome. He was involved, and it was so cool to see, and he couldn't stop talking about the game. He was a fan. He was a fan that night, and he said it was like some of the best minor hockey he's seen, and we caught him by surprise. It was a great game to watch. I think if you would have came to another one, it's like a blowout or something. It was like, what's this? Like, what's going on here? But that was an awesome display of hockey, and one of the memories of the season. Yeah, so obviously the black and blue jerseys that you guys are going to be sporting on Friday is pretty cool as well. I love them. I said this to Do they look tough? Cole. They do look tough. I said this to Cole last night on the coaches show that I like these jerseys better than the Whalers, and I'm getting a lot of backlash from it. I don't know what it is, but it's such a unique like logo with like the kind of caveman holding the stick. I've just never seen anything like it. And then I had this. I used to collect cards and pucks and everything, but I had this one puck, and it was the BC Iceman, and it was a guy from Rochester, New York, Jamie Bird, and he's a defenseman. Yeah, and, absolutely. He was in the Rochester youth hockey like programs and stuff. So I got a signed puck from him, and I just remember seeing that, and it just hit a little bit more home with me when I saw those jerseys. So I'm excited for it. Having Spezza in the building, didn't really like him too much when he was on the Senators, being a Buffalo Sabres fan. A lot of Eastern Conference finals, gone his way. But he's such another just like talent of the NHL. Like I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Famer in the NHL, but he's there, and had such a presence. Captains on a couple teams, assistant captains. The one thing that I liked about Spezza is he would coming down the right wing, he'd do a fake slap shot, get the goalie to bite, and then slide it like 5-hole or slide it by him, or even wrap around. He did that here in this building a few times, and it's one of those cool skills that kids still do to this day, but he was one of the first ones. Now I think like I've pictured Gretzky scoring a bunch of goals like that, so I bet you he stole that from Gretz. But seeing him do that, it was awesome. He was a silky player, played the right way. I'm excited to have him in the building. Ovi broke the record. What did you think of that? There was lots of talk going up into I think it was the Friday game. Yeah. because we were watching in the airport. I will say Dan Stone in the car ride to Atlanta said he's going to get a hat trick tonight. He's going to get a hat trick.
Right.
And we're all watching in the airport. He ends up getting 2. And I'm like, did you bet on this game, Stoner? Like, what? Like, it's like he's saying no, but we all thought he was going to get the empty net. And we're all huddled around like each other's phones watching it. But it was like one of those like just lifetime moments you always remember when Ovi tied it and then broke it that Sunday.
I watched both games when he hit 802 and beat Gordie Howe. I watched that game, and then I got to watch that. It's so neat that was 31 years ago.
I know.
It kills me.
It's
you were like 3, 4.
Yeah,
5?
exactly. Yeah, I didn't even know what was going on, but so cool for hockey. I think the game is just growing, and there's more eyes on it. I think the Four Nations helped with that. And then now we got playoffs coming around, but just seeing history in the making, just it's on SportsCenter a little bit more, where like Canada's showing it, but now we got Pat McAfee talking about hockey a little bit more. It's really starting to grow.
About time he started talking about
it. Exactly. So
now if we could just get Joe Rogan to start talking hockey, I mean, that guy's got like 9,000 trillion.
If we can get him going, then we'll attract a couple more. But I thought the cool thing about 895 was he never scored on Sorokin, and obviously I got that information from Nolan Egbert because he's an Islanders fan. So he said he was calling it from the beginning of the year that they're going to break it on that game. So our guys got some bold predictions.
And he scored it from the top of the left circle, which is on the power play, which is something he doesn't normally shoot from. So it's like that was pretty neat as well. So
it was an awesome shot, and I thought it was kind of cool that he didn't want the empty net goal. Like
it's respect.
It's respect. And Gretz following him around to each game, and just seeing those guys watch it. It was so cool. I just, not to go selfish, but I got to experience one of those moments in person. It was Barry Bonds hit 756 at Oracle Park.
I was there for the first game that Cal Ripken sat out. It was against the Yankees. My wife and I went down to Baltimore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, it's pretty full today. It's like, this is a full house. It's like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, right? And the guy was like, you didn't hear? I was like, no. I was like, we're out-of-towners. We're from Binghamton, New York, and we were staying in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey, and then drove down for the game. Oh, well, Cal Ripken's not playing today. And I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, they're doing this whole ceremony and everything. It was
so cool, though.
I had goosebumps. I still have goosebumps when I talk about that, right? I know it's weird because it's like the first game he sat out, but it's like, boom, there's the record.
My mom saved like the newspaper articles and stuff. Like it was so cool. My stepdad, he's San Francisco Giants fan his whole life, so he got me hooked on the Giants a bit. That's probably the most games I've ever been to, besides Phillies games. It's such a cool park, right on the water. You can take the ferry across. You don't got to worry about driving or anything like that. So those moments in sports are just. You just kind of remember where you were that day and how cool it was, and I love those when they come.
Let's end this with this: the Black Bears fans have grown immensely. Season 1, you weren't here, 3,000 fans on average. Now 4,261, I think it is. 2 more games left. 8 sellouts. What's your message to the fans?
So just happy to be a part of this, and very grateful to have such an amazing fan base that recognizes you around town, that is loud and proud in the arena, that picks up our boys when they're down, or kind of has that same belief that we have in the room, that we can get it done no matter what. And it's such a tight knit community, and it just exemplifies the hockey world, that it really is a family. And I can't wait for playoffs to get started. Hopefully we get another sellout or 2 this weekend. That would be awesome, just to kind of keep breaking some records. And it's we're very lucky to have such a cool fan base, and I'm very lucky to use this as a recruiting tool to bring some really talented players in. And Steph said it last night on the coaches show. Like, it's why guys come back. Like, they love playing in front of this crowd. They love playing in this building, and we just have something so special that I'll cherish for the rest of my life, after I'm gone.
Awesome. Coach, thank you very much. Obviously, we'll talk to you sometime during the playoffs and hopefully after another championship.
I hope so. I think we'll be able to run it back. We'll definitely have an opportunity to do so.
All right.
Go Bears.
Yeah. All right. And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
You're listening to the Power Play Post Show. Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Very excited to have this gentleman on, and I wanted to get him on before he headed back to Massachusetts when the season is officially over for the Dashers Hockey Club. He comes to us from Danville right now, Danville, Illinois. He's probably sitting in his office right now and probably sick and tired of hearing me talk, but he is Devin Dobek. Devin, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Bob, thanks for having me. I'm really excited and definitely long overdue, but excited to jump on with you and talk some hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I did mention that you're from Massachusetts, and you were telling me a little bit off the air that you're from East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Tell the fans a little bit about East Longmeadow and where it is in Massachusetts so everyone kind of understands.
Yeah, absolutely. So East Longmeadow is probably about 15, 20 minutes outside of Springfield, Mass., which, if you're a hockey fan, is where the AHL affiliate of the St. Louis Blues is, the Springfield Thunderbirds now. They play in the Mass Mutual Center, but East Longmeadow is, just about 15, 20 minutes south of that. It's considered Western Massachusetts, although there is a lot more out west. But I'm right on the line of Connecticut is where I grew up, right on the line of Somers, Connecticut, and East Longmeadow. Like, if I went 200 yards in my backyard, I'd be in Connecticut. And I definitely thank God every day that I'm from Massachusetts, certainly so, when you factor in sports and stuff. But, so that's pretty much where it is. I went to UMass, which was about 40 minutes away from East Longmeadow as well. So that's definitely where I've been the majority of my life, and absolutely is home.
That sounds like it's very close to a certain hometown of a certain Binghamton Black Bear who played in the Springfield area, Connor McAnanama.
Yeah.
You probably know where he's from.
He's from Agawam, Massachusetts, which for landmark people is where Six Flags New England is.
Yep.
So the amusement park, that's where McAnanama's from. But yeah, it is pretty cool to see Western Mass getting represented out in this neck of the woods.
Now, you said you went to UMass. Did you major in broadcasting?
No, I was actually a marketing major. So kind of what I assessed going into college is I was thinking of going to like a broadcasting school like a Syracuse or something big, but it came down to money and exactly like what I was going to be getting. So at UMass, like their communications department, it's not the greatest part of their school, but their business school is very exclusive, a little hard to get into. I think there's only like 1,000 undergrad a year that get accepted. So basically I just decided, hey, I'm going to go pursue business and I'm going to join the student radio station and do as much as I can, and just hopefully it pans out that I can use my experience to create some opportunities for myself. And if not, then I have, something to fall back on. Yeah, well, so that was kind of how I analyzed it.
Yeah, without a doubt, most people, when they get involved in broadcasting, they realize, oh, wait a second here, I love this, but man, it pays peanuts sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're first starting out, it's like, man, you don't make a lot, but I love it.
Yeah, this is really, since joining the Dashers, this has really been my first paid gig, which is crazy because I've called so many games, dating back like 7 years now. I was, in my senior year of college, the sports operator or director of the student radio station, so they gave me like something every week, but it was, just for being the director of the station, not necessarily for the games I was calling.
Right.
So it is pretty cool to, now get paid to do what I love. That's what I've been trying to do, and now that I have a taste of it and some experience under my belt, I just can't get enough. I got to keep chasing it and find a way to make it a more consistent reality for myself,
Yeah, you've broadcasted baseball games. You've broadcasted hockey games. Now, when you were growing up, you played more baseball than you did hockey, correct?
Yeah, so I kind of told you a little bit earlier, but hockey I played when I was really, really young, but my parents, they just elected that as far as the family life, because I have a younger brother, they didn't want to be in two different places on weekends, taking me to Boston for hockey and my brother to New York or something. They wanted to kind of have a family and do things together. So we bought a small place in Vermont, started skiing. I coached skiing for 5 years, and that's definitely something I enjoy. It was a really cool part of my childhood, but at the same time I wanted to play hockey. But in the long swing of things, I think full circle, if I had played hockey, I'm not sure I ever would have broadcasted, because the reason I wanted to start broadcasting was because I had nothing going on one winter. I was a very mediocre basketball player, so after I played my freshman season for the high school, they were like, nope, we're not letting you go to the JV team. So I was like, all right, but how can I turn this into a positive? And I was like, oh my gosh, we have this local channel called LCAT, and they broadcast all the games on YouTube, and they just had a voice go out, and I was like, holy cow, this is what I want to do, especially because it's all my friends, and getting to be a part of those moments and do the games. So I started doing all kinds of different sports in high school, and that definitely kind of was my first sort of opportunity to be the voice for sports. And, it earned a lot of respect for me, which I say modestly, but it was pretty cool, people coming up saying, hey, I heard you, and encouraging you and willing you, and kind of all that I had at a young age in high school was so incremental to my journey, just getting into broadcasting, because it is a cutthroat industry.
Yes.
It's very competitive. So
yes.
That encouragement that I've had all along the way from not only my family, but just the community itself, growing up in a smaller town, it was huge to will me to where I am now and where I look to go in the future.
Devin, what was the most difficult sport to broadcast in high school?
For me, it was soccer.
Really?
Because I tried to do soccer because I was like, there was no one doing it, and I was like, sure, why not? I'll come and try it. And it came down to me. I quit soccer when I was very young. I always tell this brief little story that I quit soccer when I was playing defense, and the ball came at my head, and I ducked, and it went in the goal. And I was like, all right, I'm probably not a soccer player. So I was done with that very young and didn't really stay in touch with it, and then tried to do it in high school. And, oh, man, it comes down to the rules and just, the terminology and the vocabulary, not watching the sport on TV and not participating in it actively. Just the terminology and not knowing what to call certain things, or, just calling out plays, formations, things that I have much more knowledge with in other sports. Definitely soccer was the biggest challenge for me, for sure. Was it
a good thing that, or let me ask you, did you set up a lot of the equipment and get it ready, or was there a team of people that helped you with that?
So I was very blessed. I owe a lot of my start to Don Mackey, who was the director of LCAT at the high school, and also Jamie Rook, who was the camera woman. She went and pretty much filmed every game. Obviously, if we have multiple games, they have to prioritize or pick their battle or what they want to do. But since we're only really home games, obviously took priority. But
sure.
She would come, set everything up, and then me and my buddy would just go and go. But it would be very run and gun, no prep. We would know our team, but not really the other team. And yeah, we just started doing it. But I was very blessed because they literally, they did so much for me. I mean, we had our own show on the local station. They got us this massive monitor and a slideshow clicker, and we would put together these presentations, and me and my buddy would just go shoot the shit for 20 minutes in the back room and talk about pro sports, local sports. We did a bracket challenge one year, but always giving our predictions and takes and banter. I had a lot of really good hands-on experience in high school, and if I hadn't grown up in East Long Meadow, I don't think I would have had that, because the other local schools definitely did not have what they had, or not even close to the standard that they had either. So yeah, I'm very indebted to them, and I still stay in touch with them to this day because they've done so much for me.
But it also benefits you, right? Like you know, eventually going into college, and then finally realizing kind of what you want to do in life. That experience in high school, I always talk about, for me, it was getting to know the local DJ who came in and would DJ dances. He taught me how to do that, and then I started doing it at my high school. And it just got me around the equipment. It got me around a mixing board, even though back then the mixing boards were much bigger, because I am about 30 years older than you. Well, not 30, but I'm much older than you. And the mixing boards were much bigger, right? But it got me involved in the cabling and just setting things up and timing, which is so very important when we do this kind of work and whatnot. So I found that, you know, doing that helped me, even though I didn't start doing all this stuff until I was like 30. I was like, oh, okay, you know what, maybe I'll put on a podcast or something. Or back then It was just a radio show because the podcast word wasn't even out yet. And so, but I had all this other knowledge of being in a band, playing music with other people, and then, you know, working with mixing boards, that, you know, it just came kind of natural as long as I could figure out how to talk. And so that's a good thing for you.
Yeah, no, it is and it isn't, because it's kind of like the whole silver spoon debacle. Like, because I had everything in high school and, like, I would just show up and broadcast, there were opportunities that I had to do summer internships in collegiate baseball, and I'd get there and they were just like, run the show. And I'm just like, what? Like, you guys... Like, I'm going to have to figure out how everything connects, and, like, you know, new organizations, new ownership, so the equipment changes and nobody knows how anything works.
Yeah.
So it was kind of baptism by fire at that stage. But, again, all of those experiences just led to growth for me, and, like, I don't regret it at all. Obviously, it's tough sometimes, you know, to compare my production and my broadcast, not necessarily the play-by-play aspect, but kind of just the whole production and, you know, just the quality and everything to other teams, because other teams, some of them just got it down. Like Binghamton's a prime example. Like, they've got a pretty much an AHL caliber broadcast. So it was tough, you know, when you're going up against teams that, especially in summer collegiate baseball, like, there is a lot of different ways that people broadcast and what they do and certain aspects that they have within the game. And I always strive to, you know, want to succeed them in a sense. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to what resources you have in front of you and what can I do to put on the best possible broadcast with what I have. So, again, it was just definitely a baptism by fire learning experiences. But, yeah, it was a great jump start right out of high school for me, for sure.
No, without a doubt. Okay, so you've called a lot of baseball games, you've called a lot of hockey games, but as a former baseball player who played it all through school, and it's a slower medium if you think about it. You know, baseball, the game is just slower, the way it's played and whatnot. Do you find it more difficult to call a baseball game because you have to fill a little bit more airtime than you would when you're calling hockey?
That's a good question. I'm not sure I'd call it more difficult. I would say you definitely have to be a lot more prepared.
Sure.
Like, I would spend a lot more time in my first year of summer collegiate baseball, so, like, right out of when I was a freshman. I got really lucky. There wasn't a lot of kids my age getting those opportunities. And so I jumped in, and like I said in high school, it was all run and gun. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of
prep.
Unless it was a playoff game, like, my head was kind of just focused on our team, and that was really it. So I kind of had to learn how to do prep on my own. Obviously, talking to other broadcasters that I worked with was huge growing up. But for baseball, I found definitely you need to have, like, a lot of time to fill. Like, we'd have a whole doc page, maybe 2 pages of information on a player that we could plug in. Like, anything from his high school statistics to his, you know, draft or certain combine accolades, personal accolades, academic reports, like what they're interested in, like as much filler content as we can, and we try and prepare that ahead of time. Whereas hockey, I make my spotting boards, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but it's demographic information, and then every week I go in and find, you know, 3 or 4 things that I really like. Sometimes it's actually been more. I've been cramming it lately. But about each person, along with their season statistics, and then they're all very accessible to me right there, and I can work them in during the game. So baseball is a lot more prep and time to fill, whereas hockey, as long as I know my stuff ahead of time, I feel very comfortable just jumping right in and getting right into the rhythm of the game and working things in where I can. But baseball, you have to be very thought out for, and much more prepared time in advance.
I don't know because I haven't listened or watched every single Dashers game this year. Have you worked with a color guy with the Dashers? Has a player jumped on with you yet?
I've had several color commentators. I've had, let me think here and see. I've had Cyril Nagurski did one game.
Nice.
Nikolai Salov did one game in Topeka. I had Christian Gardecki for 2 games in Danbury.
Oh, very cool. That's right.
Hero.
I forgot about Christian being on with you. That's right.
Yep. I had an 11-year-old Holden on with me once. He crushed it. It was great. I was really excited to listen to him. I've had, who did I just have? Jacob Gagnon's friend Harris Dolan joined me last weekend on the Saturday game, which was pretty cool because what a win that was.
Yep.
And other than that, I think that might be it. I might be. Colton Wyzak did it with me after he got hurt when we were in Mississippi.
Now, most play-by-play guys that I've talked to said they love it when they have a color guy on with them. Because then they don't have to talk all the way through the whole game, but at the same time, it's just that little bit of interaction in between when the puck stops and that they can have with someone else that they just really enjoy a lot.
I agree. Having a color person is huge in my eyes, and I've worked with one, not necessarily in hockey, or not with the Dashers by and large, but growing up I have, so I'm very comfortable with kind of the rhythm and flow. Mm-hmm. Building a rapport and just having that relationship and knowing when to pipe up, that's why I love summer baseball. I mean, you're doing 45 games in 55 days, so you really get to know who you're working with, and you can, mix in jokes and do stuff like that. But as far as hockey, I definitely love having someone, when the puck's in transition or there's a little bit of a lull, they can just come and break down the last play. Because I found when I've done color in the past, I feel like I'm very analytical. Like I'm looking all around the puck in addition to what's going on with it. And I'm able to break down plays. But when I'm doing play-by-play, I'm so set on exactly what's going on at this exact moment.
Where that puck is, the flow of the game.
Exactly. So I can try and do color when I'm by myself and just mix it in, but I can't bring out an elongated statement about something that I just witnessed on the last play away from the puck that led to that opportunity, and that's why I kind of love that extra set of eyes out there with me, because it just makes all the difference. Yeah,
I've when I first started doing color back 2011, I was asked for the first time by the Manchester Monarchs play-by-play broadcaster Ken Kale. Really great guy, love him to death. Gave me my first chance behind the mic, and we were obviously it was only on radio. Then AHL Live had come around and everything, but most people were listening to it on radio. And I was an old school guy listening to Dave Maloney do the Ranger games and on the radio. And I would sit there and be like, well, I'm only going to talk when the puck is not in play, because that's technically the play-by-play guy to tell the fans where the puck is on the ice, because it's over the radio. And lately, anytime I've done it in the last 5 or 6 years, realistically what it comes down to is almost everything is on video now. Right? So you said, there's a different style now where if there's a lull in the play or they're transitioning, the color guy comes in and talks a little bit more. I'm so not used to that. It's I was so used to just only when the puck stops. When the puck stops and the referees are doing whatever they're doing or whatever it might be, that's when the color guy talks. It's so interesting how the color commentator role has changed because there's so much more video now than there ever used to be.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And everybody's got a different style, and some people like to talk more, some people like to talk less. And, that's kind of something that you have to work out when you start out with your partner. That's why it's nice to have them be very consistent if they're going to be on with you.
Yeah.
Because, you got to figure out someone else's tendencies. You got to feel them out, warm up to them, and just see exactly when they are going to feel that they should be cued in. And I like to cue them up sometimes, especially newer people who are just kind of doing it to get on the air, maybe get their feet wet, or, there's some sort of guest that we're having. But, ask them a question and then, give them the floor and then see what they're able to do with it and learn from that and then try and factor it in the rest of the game where you see fit. I definitely have enjoyed it. The role has evolved a lot. I forget who told me this, but I think a great rule of thumb is the play-by-play is the who, what, and when, and then color is the why and the how. And if you stick to that, it's pretty simple. You're going to have a pretty successful broadcast as long as you got a good rhythm and a tempo with your partner.
It's an excellent point. Great. I love that, description of a color commentator versus a play-by-play. How did you get involved with the Dashers? Tell me that story.
So I reached out actually. I was just kind of right out of college. Obviously couldn't get, I worked in the Cape Cod Baseball League once again, and that took up a ton of my time, especially because I was working on the golf course in the morning, go home, have lunch, right to the field, do a broadcast. Did that 6 days a week, pretty much. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to really surf around and set something up for myself, but I knew I wanted my first gig to be in hockey for sure, my first paid gig. And so reached out to Doug Latuca, who's a year older than me, and I worked with him in the Cape Cod Baseball League back in 2022. He was with Brewster, I was with Harwich, so we met and had known each other, not well. But I reached out to him because I knew he was with Danbury last year, and I was like, hey, are you looking for anyone to join you, or, do you have any opportunities that you think would be available? And he sent me all the expansion teams names in the Fed. So at the time it was the Dashers, the Rock Lobsters, the Mocs, and maybe someone else. So I sent them all emails, never heard for months, and then I heard back eventually from two of them in the same week, months after I'd sent this cold email.
Right.
So, of course, they put me in that situation. And it was between the Dashers and the Rock Lobsters were the two teams that I was talking to. And the Dashers' opportunity and what they were willing to provide for me just seemed to both me and my family to make the most sense to take that opportunity. And I jumped on it, and, there was no turning back.
It's been a tough season for the Dashers. Obviously, just the 3 wins. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about them because of the losing streak. Does that kind of help you as a broadcaster in a way that most people wouldn't understand, where, the team is not winning and you're still trying to sell this as a great product and that you want to get fans excited and to still come out to the games? Is it something that you can take and go, I learned a lot this season?
Yeah, I honestly think, I just said my opportunities were here in Athens, but, if I had a chance to make that decision again, I think I'd probably stick with what I've done because I needed this. I was, as a broadcaster, I think there was a lot of growth I needed to do, and kind of the independence and the liberty that I've had here, I'm not sure I would have had in Athens, and I think that I kind of needed to learn a lot of things on my own. There was no equipment when I got here.
Right.
There was nothing. I had to figure out there was, all these debacles. We don't need to get into all that.
No, I understand.
It was just there was nothing, and I had to figure it out and find a way. And even from a broadcasting standpoint, with the team's success in the first couple months of the season, if I was doing a UMass game back in college and it was 5-1 in the third period, I'd be checked out. I'd lose my energy. I'd lose my focus. Not sounding very into it. Just doing a very lackluster job and not putting forward my best product. Well, with the Dashers, obviously we've had some tough games. And staying in those and forcing myself to stay in those and stay prepared and find ways to keep the audience engaged, find ways to make it the most for the fans that are tuned in still. Mm-hmm. That was something that I desperately needed in my career because, like I said, at UMass, I would completely shut off and not be as into it and just be lousy. And, the lack of success to go in circles once again, I needed that. I needed that opportunity so I could grow and find a way, because who knows? Maybe it's the San Jose Sharks who come calling one day. And I got to be ready for that opportunity.
Absolutely. So. And this is a learning process even for you. I mean, as I've told multiple people who I've talked to who have been at this level of broadcasting and want to work their way up, and they're going to work their way up because a lot of the broadcasters that come in here are just looking for an opportunity and looking for a way to grow who they are as a broadcaster and move on up. And they will do that, and they should appreciate and understand this part of the time. You mentioned equipment, and our friend Gary Ryan even helped you out with that.
Yeah, Gary, it was a great gesture by him. I mean, I was running my audio out of the top of a camera. There's like a place where you can insert the headsets, and so I was doing it that way, and it just sounded terrible. And I unfortunately had a little trouble getting equipment early on in the season from people within the organization, and Gary saw. Well, actually, we had one, I think, that was being ordered or processed being ordered, whatever, and but in Binghamton, I had nothing. Like, I was not going to be able to do the game. And Brooks Hill, I owe him a lot. He stepped up and loaned me a backup, which I can't believe he has a backup. That's awesome. But, yeah, he loaned me it, was more than willing to help out. All those guys up there in Binghamton, I can't even remember. I think there's EJ or Ethan. Yep. He helped me a ton,
EJ.
too.
You got it right.
At one point. Obviously, Cole's great. But, yeah, those three guys definitely stepped up to make sure that I could go on air. And it's really great, to have people willing to help you. Because that's one of the biggest things in this industry is everybody wants the same jobs, but, helping each other and just kind of having that rapport and community aspect and willing to pick ideas off of each other and combine all of our biggest strengths and weaknesses to kind of improve ourselves, individually, was a big thing. And those guys, they helped me. And Gary, just circling back to your point, sending me that soundboard. Now I have one that I can take wherever I'm going next. So I'm very grateful to him for that. And it's definitely something that I'll remember him doing for me.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing, and what I've found is the dedication that Gary has to doing what he wants to do, and he still wants to help out everybody, which is, I think, is pretty cool. One of the other things that's really cool about really kind of like the Fed and the broadcasters, there's a pretty good network of guys who are willing to really kind of help you no matter what stage. And one of the cool things about that is that in the Fed, we do have Tom Callahan, who is broadcasted up at the NHL level. So it's like, that's a really neat thing for all the broadcasters, including myself. And I've had conversations with Tom just about different things within the business that is really kind of like impactful and something that you can learn from. I've been doing this for over 20 years, podcasting and interviewing and talking to people and really kind of getting the message out, in a way that I think is professional and probably near the tops, especially in this kind of a field, podcasting field. But it's great to have someone like Tom Callahan to help and to talk to some of the young guys. Yeah,
so actually Columbus is the only team this year we didn't play. So I haven't had the luxury to meet or speak with Tom. But I've heard a lot of great things. Congratulations to him on his 1,300th professional game.
It's crazy, right? 1,300, and he's done it. He's done it in every single league that has been here or defunct now. It's like that's the crazy part. When you look at his career, you go, "Oh wait, the WCHL. Wait, that was like 100 years ago," which is pretty cool. So,
no, but I think if I went through the other outside of me and Tom, if I went through the other 12 broadcasters in this league, I bet you I could name at least one thing that each of them has helped me with in some capacity.
Awesome.
I know I had the worst score bug ever. There was no clock. I couldn't even colorize it. It was just text on a blue bar, and it was awful. And Brett Wiseman stepped up, showed me what he did, and got me all set up, and I ran with that for a bit. Then Brian Flores showed me something else from Baton Rouge that he'd been working with. And I really liked that and jumped in all over that. Jim Cerny from the Venom, he's helped me with my writing, and he's another great ear to bend, a guy who's seen a lot. So just like I said, I could go on like what Brooks did for me, and Will is always willing to help too, Will Wiggleman.
He's great.
John Clement gave me some pointers and certain graphics and showed me where things are when I was down in Mississippi. Like, seriously, I don't want to, keep going all around the league, but every one of those guys, it is unbelievable. I can't say too many bad things about the broadcast group in this league. They're willing to help and they step up.
Talk to me a little bit about Justin Bronson and what he does mean to this organization and just Dashers hockey in general.
Yeah, Braz, I mean, he was my roommate from day one. So we've kind of been two of the few guys that have been buckled up for this entire journey together. And obviously he's getting a little older, and he'll probably give me a hard time for saying that. But, it's been harder for him to, play like he used to. But the fans love him. I mean, you can't walk 5 feet in the David S. Palmer without bumping into an 88 jersey. He's great. He spends time with all the fans, the kids. He's really good to people, especially people that are good to him. He goes out of his way to be good to them, and always will do anything to make someone smile. I mean, obviously, I brought you and Gary a puck recently. I had no problem signing it. Like, he's very, very just influential and definitely a big part. I think everything that people still definitely hold on to with the Dashers, Justin Brosnan is, one of the pinnacles of that time, the 2010s era for Dashers hockey. So having him around, I think has definitely been, a really good constant in the midst of this storm. And I also think about the 3 games we won this season, just to sidetrack here for a moment here, Bob. But, I mean, we've won 3 games. But we won our home opener with our largest crowd of the season. We won Braz's 400th game, and he scored against our former teammates with the Venom.
Yep.
And then we won, the game of the year, the penultimate game, in my opinion. I mean, 7-6 shootout over Gullo on Justin Brosnan night in his specialty jerseys with his parents down for the night from Minnesota. Like, it was storybook. So, he's always at the center of anything that's good that happens to this organization, and it's definitely sad to see him, growing older, and obviously it's going to be hard for him to stay in the game much longer. But I'm so thrilled that he was back here, and I definitely consider him like a big brother. He's done a lot for me too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Just for the Binghamton fans, if you could talk a little bit about what Andrew Utero has brought to the team since he's come over.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Gives me a big hug every time I see him. He is like a great playmaker all of a sudden. I mean, he had a 5-assist game in that 7-6 shootout game.
That's crazy.
He is just a good, happy-go-lucky guy. I've never not seen him smiling. And it was really refreshing because obviously, not to bash anyone, but we had some players that came in and they did not have very long tenures and might have been a little in over their head. So to have a guy like Utes come in and, we're like, oh, here's another new guy, another week or 2 stint. But no, he stepped right in and immediately contributed to our offense. Assist machine. He scored in his first game as a Dasher down in Baton Rouge, and it's been really nice to see him. I think he had 11 shots in his first, or maybe 20 shots in his first 2 games. Like, he's been trying to put pucks on net, and he's also a huge part of the success that Ilner Matyarov just started to have. Utes is right there with him, giving him the puck, and he's a great playmaker, slows things down. I think the play that made it 6-5 was almost all because of Andrew Utero. We've been very lucky to have him. I love him. Definitely will be staying in touch with him. And, definitely happy that you guys let him go.
Let me ask you this question about one last player. Parker Rutherford, how important has he been? I know his numbers are not going to look good at the end of this season, but how important has he been? And most of the goalies I know are a mental mess even when they're playing really, really well, right? And they're getting wins and their goals against average is good. They're still a mental mess. How does Parker Rutherford get up and just have a smile on his face or whatever? Because it's got to be hard because no team stats really affect any player more than a goalie, right? With wins and losses and then, of course, the save percentage and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I have to imagine he's got to be one of the more important people on this team.
Parker, man, that's another guy who's been here pretty much from training camp with me. When we had Steve Esau come in, he let him go for a couple weeks, but came to his senses, brought him back. But if you look at Parker's numbers and that's it, you're not doing your job correctly.
I understand. No.
I'm not saying that to you, Bob.
Yeah,
I'm saying that to scouts around the league, other head coaches around the league.
Sure.
But Parker Rutherford is a tremendous goalie. And granted, he doesn't have a ton of size. He's only 5'10", but he makes some incredible saves. And every time he's in between the pipes, as silly or corny as this may sound, given our record, we have a chance to win. And there's been a lot of head-scratching losses where things just fall apart late, maybe a dozen of them. But Parker, for him, he definitely, it takes a toll on him. Like, if you watch him immediately, especially after the close losses, he's definitely feeling it. Like, he feels like he could have done more every time, and that's just the type of guy he is. But he's had an incredible hockey journey. I know he's only going to go up from here, and I think another huge thing for him is the fans. And Danville has really rallied behind him, and despite all the losing, they have really made sure that he feels like he has a home here. And he's probably a top 3 fan favorite, I would say. People love him. They flutter around him. They want his autograph. It's just really cool to have that kind of support from the community, because he didn't want to really come back after he was let go. He was very hurt that, this new coach came in and just let him go immediately without even knowing who he was. And it was hard for him to, kind of swallow his pride and walk back here. But he did, and he's been incredible. And, the numbers, when we went out to Binghamton, 70 shots on goal, he makes 61 saves. You put him on a team, a better team, where he's getting 30 shots a night, he's stopping 28 of those, and you're winning at least 5-2 every night. So that's what I see in Parker. And it goes deeper than the Danville fans. We went out to Binghamton.
Yeah.
People were making someone, I believe her name's Lauren, made a mural of him, after his goalie fight with Mac. They gave him all kinds of special, desserts, pastries. The fans are a huge reason that Parker is still playing hockey.
That's
and
great.
I know he's thought about just shutting it down and going to just become a coach, or maybe helping out with his dad, who works with the Summit City Distillers.
Oh, okay.
But he has had an incredible hockey journey. He's played at a bunch of different levels, too, even if it's just training camp stints or whatever. But the guy is a great goaltender. He knows the game well. He has a great IQ. He's a phenomenal teammate. He's not the guy where you're going to go in the locker room and he's going to rip you. He might be thinking it, but he's never going to let you know.
Yeah.
And another guy who doesn't talk smack about teammates, I always give Parker a hard time, because he's got this, I don't know the cartoon character. Maybe it's the white droopy dog with the orange hair, but he's always got this face on after games sometimes. And it's tough, Yeah. But I always go and give him a hard time. And I'm like, probably could have stopped a couple more tonight, Parks. And he cracks up, because he knows that I love him and that I'm one of his biggest fans and supporters. And he's given me incredible, games to call, saves to call. It's incredible to, get to know him. And we hang out a lot off the ice, too. And, Parker is definitely, one of the biggest reasons I'm enjoying my time here in Danville, and just having guys like that on the team, good locker room guys and fan favorites. He's been great. Definitely someone I'll miss in a couple of weeks.
I have 2 more questions for you. One, you kind of touched upon just a little bit about what the fans in Binghamton, but also in Carolina, did for the Dashers. Sometimes the hockey community just will go out of their way to find a way to help hockey players or people in the hockey community, and that's one thing that Carolina and Binghamton did those 2 weekends. Talk a little bit about what that meant to the organization, the players, when they got on the bus or when they got out to the bus, especially in Binghamton. The Binghamton people just went crazy, and how important was that to those guys?
It was cool to feel, we've been through a lot. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It hasn't been an easy season. Like I said, I don't regret coming here. I've enjoyed every moment, but there are some days that are a lot better than others. And we went through some dog days, and then to see something so bad happen, or, so frustrating happen, and then to see some sort of support or love from other fan bases, like reaching out, like, hey, we're with you guys, we got you guys, and despite everything going on, despite how your record's been, like, we're here for you, and we're looking to help out. It's pretty incredible, and definitely a huge thank you to Carolina, Binghamton, other teams who've reached out and, said nice things or given donations. I'm not sure where we'd be without their support, because it's just been huge. It's huge fuel to help us keep going.
And Paul McLean, from my conversations with Gary, Gary says that once Paul McLean came in, the team kind of really started to change a little bit. What did you notice different about the team once Paul McLean came in?
Yeah, Coach, I think honestly it came down a lot to recruiting. He brought in those Utero guys. He brought in Madiarov. Nobody gave Madiarov a shot. I think he had 4 games played in Mississippi, no points, and that was it for him. He comes here, he gets 4 games under his belt, and now he's going to be one of the best scorers and headed to the SP or the EC in due time. Like, he's going to be really incredible. So I think above all, he's a brilliant hockey mind. He's been around the game for so long,
right,
and he knows so much. He's met with so many different people. He's played with so many different people, and he's coached so many different people. And all that information, just goes into his philosophy. And he's not a very loud-spoken guy. He's definitely more soft-spoken, raspy voice. But the guys listen, and they pay attention, and they believe in the process. And I think Paul's definitely been a pleasant surprise here, and maybe a silver lining down the stretch in the season. But, yeah, I think the personnel he's brought in, and just having, a sense of stability, like not having 6 new skaters every week is huge, because, we can credit Paul with a lot of it and sing his praises, but the players have stepped up too, and, learning to play together, developing that team chemistry, which is something I thought we were going to do, heading into December, but it didn't pan out that way. We had some changes, and it just didn't work out that way, but Paul has kept this group together, believed in them, willed them, and, it's just kind of having a coach who's very observant and knows what to do and who to send out and rewarding good play and making guys want to be better. I think Paul's been huge, along with the stability of the roster. Just keeping them together and all that has been critical.
Summer plans for you. Are you going to do any broadcasting, maybe some baseball broadcasting this summer?
I'd like to. So I was with the Cape Cod Baseball League the last 3 summers, and then the summer before that, New England Collegiate Baseball League. So this is my first summer I don't have a gig lined up for baseball in 5 years. Won a championship last summer, and I kind of took that as like a sign, like, hey, now that I'm out of college, I should probably be doing more to, kind of support myself.
Right.
Because living at home is great, but, my parents aren't always thrilled about it, and I got to pull my own, and I'm not always the best at that. I'm always out doing whatever. So I need to find a way to, start to build my own life and make some money. So I'll be working at a golf course and trying to find a new gig that I'll, at the drop of a hat take if I feel that it's worth it.
Perfect.
But maybe some freelance stuff here and there. I'll reach out to some local areas and maybe Learfield and just see if there's any opportunities. But I think polishing what I have and going through all the materials I have and making sure that my portfolio is set for an employer to see and realize that there's not one person that's going to be better than me at the job is and I say that, not in an arrogant way, but more in a confident way. Like, I don't want to give them a reason to, not at least have a conversation with me or interview me.
Absolutely.
So I think that is going to be what I'm putting my
effort
focus towards, and I'm hoping, something comes up. Obviously, I'm going to have to work for it. It won't just fall into my lap, but I found networking is the biggest thing. Like, I've sent out applications drive me nuts, because I can send out 20 and I hear from one and it's a no. Like, I'd rather get 20 no's and use that to be better. But the ambiguity and just, like, even with the Dashers, like, I didn't hear back for 2 months. I thought that was all, signed, sealed, delivered. I got to figure out something else. And then, with a little help from maybe the man upstairs, it came on back. And I'm very grateful and fortunate for that opportunity. But, this summer, just be working, hanging out with my family. Haven't seen them too much, so should be great. Play some golf, and then just continue to polish my craft. Try and stay doing some mock calls or going back and listening, taking notes on what I've done this season, and figuring out ways I can be better for next.
Well, Devin, good luck. I hope our paths, cross again. That would be awesome for sure. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing what happens with you soon.
Absolutely, Bob. Thank you so much for having me, and definitely a pleasure to talk to you.
Awesome, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
If you're still with me, I know, through an hour and 49, almost 50 minutes, then thank you. I really appreciate it. I try to give you guys as much of the content as I can. I realize that sometimes these can go a little long, but great conversation with Devin Dobek of the Dashers Hockey Club. Great conversation with Brant Sherwood. Previews for this weekend. You know what's going on. Get your tickets. Definitely be there for the Black Bears. This team is going to have another magical run, and these are the last two regular season games this season. Get your tickets, get to the games, and, of course, support the Black Bears. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, search for the Power Play Post Show, and please join the group. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all of your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and Binghamton Black Bears head coach Brant Sherwood, and from the Dashers Hockey Club, Devin Dobek. I am Bob Howard. Thank you very much for listening to the Power Play Post Show, and we will talk to you, let's see here, in just about 3 or 4 days with Blake Tosto here on the show as we wrap up the regular season. Again, I am Bob Howard. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Petitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.